Once upon a time, in a small village nestled among rolling green hills, there lived an old woman. She was very old, with hair as white as spun moonlight, and a face etched with the fine, soft lines of a long and thoughtful life. But her eyes, dark and deep, shone with a brilliant light, overflowing with a kindness that seemed to touch everyone she met. Everyone in the village, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, loved her dearly. They loved her because she was always happy, her spirit a steady, warm flame, even in the coldest winds of hardship. She lived by herself in a humble, small house that stood in the shade of a magnificent and ancient banyan tree. The tree's vast branches were like protective arms stretched over her home. She had no children of her own, and her beloved husband had passed on to the next life many years before. Even so, she was never heard to utter a word of complaint. Her days were spent sitting under the sprawling banyan, talking to the villagers who sought her company, and always, she wore a gentle, reassuring smile. In that village, life was a tapestry, woven with threads of hard work and simple joys. Some villagers were farmers who tilled the earth, their hands calloused from coaxing life from the soil. Others were skilled carpenters, their workshops filled with the scent of fresh-cut wood. Still others ran small stalls in the bustling village market, their voices a cheerful chorus as they sold their wares. But life was not always easy. There were seasons when the rains forgot to fall, and the green crops would wither and turn to dust under the relentless sun. There were times when sickness would sweep through the village, leaving people too weak to work and families worried about their next meal. Life was a constant challenge, and it was no surprise that many villagers often found their hearts heavy with sadness or their minds clouded with worry. One sun-drenched afternoon, a young woman named Radha made her way to the banyan tree. Her face, usually so bright and full of life, was now streaked with tears and filled with a deep, consuming worry. She approached the old woman, her shoulders slumped in despair. "I don't know what to do," she whispered, her voice trembling. "My husband went to the city weeks ago to look for work, but he hasn't sent any money. My children are hungry, and I am so afraid." The old woman looked at Radha, her gaze soft and full of compassion. She patted the ground beside her. "Sit down, my child," she said, her voice like a gentle melody. "Tell me, what is it that you are so afraid of? What do you think will happen?" Radha sank to the ground, wiping at her endless tears with the back of her hand. "I don't know," she confessed, her voice thick with sorrow. "I just feel that terrible things are going to happen. My mind is filled with dark thoughts. What if my husband can't find a job? What if he has fallen ill? What if he forgets about us and never comes back?" The old woman listened patiently, then shook her head with a slow, gentle motion. "When we fill our minds with dark and fearful thoughts, my child, we make our own hearts heavy. But if we choose to fill our minds with positive, hopeful thoughts, our hearts feel lighter, and sometimes the world responds by bringing good things to us." The old woman then told Radha a story. "Listen, there was once a very poor man who had nothing but the clothes on his back. Every day he walked with his head down, thinking only of his empty pockets and his hungry stomach. He saw only the dust on the road and the stones in his path. One day, an old traveler saw him and asked why he was so sad. The poor man complained about his misfortune. The traveler simply said, 'Lift your head and look around you.' The poor man, annoyed but curious, did as he was told. For the first time, he truly saw the river, sparkling like a ribbon of diamonds in the sunlight. He saw the majestic mountains, their peaks touching the clear blue sky. He felt the warmth of the sun on his skin and heard the sweet song of the birds in the trees. He had nothing, yet he was surrounded by immense beauty and wealth that cost him nothing. His heart, for the first time in a long time, felt a flicker of joy. The old woman paused, letting the story settle in Radha's mind. You see, the man's situation had not changed. His pockets were still empty. But his mindset had changed. By choosing to see the good and the beautiful, he found a strength he never knew he had. Radha looked at the old woman, a glimmer of understanding in her tear-filled eyes. Is it magic then? If I think happy thoughts, will my husband suddenly find a job? The wise woman smiled. It is not magic, my dear, but it is a kind of power. It is the power of a changed mindset. The world does not bend to our will simply because we wish it. But when you start your day believing, truly believing, that today will be a good day, you will find the strength to face your challenges with courage instead of fear. You will see opportunities where you once saw only obstacles. You will have the energy to comfort your children, to plant a small garden, to mend a neighbor's clothes for a piece of bread. Your positive spirit will draw others to you, and they will want to help. This is the secret strength of a positive mind. Radha left the old woman that day with a seed of hope planted in her heart. The next morning, instead of waking with a familiar dread, she took a deep breath and said aloud, "Today will be a good day." It was difficult at first. The worry was still there, a shadow in the corner of her mind. But she focused on the task at hand. She hummed a tune as she swept her small home. She told her children stories that made them laugh, their giggles a balm to her soul. She noticed the beauty of the morning glories, climbing her fence, and felt grateful for the clean water from the village well. Days turned into a week, and then another. Every morning, Radha repeated her new mantra. Her neighbors noticed the change in her. She was no longer the weeping, desperate woman they had seen before. She was still poor, but she was strong, her smile as bright as the morning sun. She helped an elderly neighbor with his chores, and he shared his vegetables with her. She mended torn clothes for the market vendor, and she was given a bag of rice. Then, one afternoon, the village postman arrived with a letter. It was from her husband. With trembling hands, Radha opened it. Inside was not just a letter, but also a small bundle of money. Her husband wrote that he had finally found a good, steady job. He had been working tirelessly, saving every penny to send to them. He would be sending more money every month, and he hoped to visit them soon. Tears of joy streamed down Radha's face as she clutched the letter to her chest. Her positive outlook had not magically created the job, but it had given her the strength to endure, to create small blessings for herself, and to survive until the good news arrived. News of Radha's transformation and her husband's good fortune spread throughout the village like a gentle breeze. Soon, other villagers began to visit the wise old woman under the banyan tree. A farmer worried about his crops, a mother with a sick child, a young man afraid of the future. They all came seeking her wisdom. And to each of them, she shared the same simple, powerful message. Your mind is a garden. You can grow worry and fear, or you can cultivate hope and strength. What you choose to grow will ultimately determine the harvest of your life. And so, the village, once so often shadowed by hardship, began to shine a little brighter, its people learning the secret strength of a positive mind.